your legs weaken first. And if no one has told you that yet, consider this your wake-up call. I spent years in surgical medicine. I watched patient after patient come into my clinic not because of heart disease, not because of cancer, but because their legs had quietly given out on them. And by the time they realized it, they had already lost something precious, their independence. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you something. How old are you right now? Drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love seeing this community show up for each other. And if you are new here and you care about staying strong, mobile, and independent as you age, please hit that subscribe button right now. I post evidence-based health information every week specifically for people who refuse to go down without a fight. Now, here's the statistic that changed everything for me. A landmark study published by the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology followed over 3,800 adults over the age of 65 for 6 years. What they found was staggering. People who showed early signs of leg muscle weakness were 76% more likely to experience a serious fall, a hospital admission, or complete loss of independent living within 3 years. 76%. That is not a small number. That is nearly 8 out of 10 people who ignored the early warning signs. And here's the thing most doctors won't tell you in a 10-minute appointment. You can reverse this, not slow it down. Actually reverse it. And the most powerful tools are sitting in your grocery store right now. Today, I'm counting down 6 foods ranked from helpful to absolutely transformational that rebuild leg strength from the inside out. And I'll warn you right now, number 1 is going to surprise you. Most people have never heard of using it this way, and the research behind it is extraordinary. So stay with me until the end because that one alone could genuinely change your life. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Have you noticed your legs feeling weaker lately? Maybe climbing stairs feels harder than it used to. Maybe you grab the railing now when you never did before. Tell me in the comments. I genuinely read every message, and your story might help someone else feel less alone today. Starting at number 6, and this one is so ordinary that most people walk right past it every single week without a second thought. I'm talking about eggs. Now I know what you're thinking. Eggs? Really? But hear me out, because the research behind eggs and aging muscle is far more powerful than most people realize. A study out of the University of Illinois found that older adults who consumed whole eggs after resistance activity experienced 40% greater muscle protein synthesis compared to those who consumed only egg whites. And here is why that matters so much after the age of 60. There is a phenomenon in aging biology called anabolic resistance. And if that term sounds complicated, think of it this way. When you're young, your muscles are like a brand new sponge, soaking up every bit of protein and nutrients you give them and immediately turning that into strength. But as you get older, that sponge becomes stiff and hardened. It doesn't absorb as easily anymore. Your body actually requires more of a stimulus to trigger the same muscle-building response it used to do automatically. Eggs work brilliantly against anabolic resistance because the yolk contains leucine, a specific amino acid that essentially acts like a master key, unlocking the muscle-building pathway in aging cells. The yolk also contains cholesterol, which your body uses to produce testosterone and other anabolic hormones that naturally decline after 60. This is precisely why eating the whole egg matters, not just the whites. For practical use, aim for 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning, ideally cooked gently as poached or soft-boiled to preserve the heat-sensitive nutrients. And here's a synergy tip. Pair your eggs with a small amount of vitamin C, like half a bell pepper or some citrus, because vitamin C dramatically improves the absorption of the iron in eggs, which your muscle cells need to generate energy during movement. Moving to number 5 on our list, and this one is for anyone who has ever been told to simply eat more protein and then left feeling confused about what that actually means in practice. I'm talking about wild-caught salmon. I had a patient, I'll call her Margaret, 74 years old, from a small town in Tennessee. She came into my clinic struggling to walk from her car to my front door without stopping twice to rest. Her calves cramped constantly, her thighs felt like they were made of paper, and she had already fallen once in her bathroom. Within 4 months of a targeted nutrition protocol that centered heavily on wild salmon twice a week, Margaret was walking her neighborhood block every morning. The change in her muscle composition was measurable on her follow-up scan. Here's why salmon is so extraordinary for aging legs. First, it delivers a high dose of complete protein, around 25 grams per 4-ounce serving, which aging muscles desperately need. But more importantly, wild salmon is one of the richest food sources on Earth of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. These compounds work directly on inflammation at the cellular level. Think of chronic inflammation in aging muscle like rust slowly eating through a metal pipe. It weakens the structure from the inside without any obvious sign until something breaks. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that older adults who supplemented with omega-3 sources equivalent to 2 servings of fatty fish per week saw a 35% reduction in inflammatory markers specifically associated with muscle degradation. 35%. Those same participants preserved significantly more thigh muscle mass over an 18-month period compared to the control group. For best results, aim for wild-caught salmon rather than farmed. The omega-3 profile is dramatically different. Cook it simply, baked or pan-seared, not fried. And pair it with dark leafy greens like spinach or kale, because the magnesium in those greens enhances the conversion of omega-3s into usable anti-inflammatory compounds in your cells. Number 4, and this is where things start to get genuinely surprising. Beetroot. Not beetroot supplements, actual whole beets or cold-pressed beet juice. A study from Wake Forest University found that older adults who drank beet juice before physical activity showed a 38% improvement in blood flow to the white matter regions of their muscles, the fast-twitch fibers that are responsible for explosive movement, balance, and preventing falls. The mechanism is nitric oxide. Beets are one of the highest natural sources of dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a gas that causes blood vessels to relax and expand. Think of it like widening a garden hose that has been kinked and narrowed over decades. Suddenly, your leg muscles are receiving more oxygen, more glucose, more of everything they need to fire properly. After the age of 75, your body's natural ability to produce nitric oxide drops by over 50%. This is one of the primary reasons older adults feel that their legs simply don't respond the way they used to. It's not just muscle loss. It's a circulation problem at the cellular level. Drink 200 to 300 milliliters of cold-pressed beet juice about 90 minutes before your most active period of the day. If you prefer whole beets, roast them gently with a touch of olive oil. The synergy tip here is critical. Combine beets with a source of vitamin E, like a small handful of sunflower seeds or almonds, because vitamin E protects nitric oxide molecules from breaking down too quickly, making the entire effect last significantly longer in your bloodstream. Now, right here at the midpoint of our list, I want to pause and say something from the heart. If this information has been helpful to you so far, please take 2 seconds right now and hit the like button. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it tells the algorithm to share this with other people, maybe someone's grandmother or a neighbor or a parent who genuinely needs to hear this today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. This community is built on people who take their health seriously, and I would love to have you as part of it. Also, I'm curious, where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your city and country in the comments. I love seeing how far this information travels, and I personally scroll through to read where you're all joining from. Number 3, and this one might genuinely surprise you, tart cherries. A 74-year-old retired teacher named Robert from Portland, Oregon, told me he had given up on ever walking his dog without knee pain again. His legs were so weak and inflamed that even gentle exercise left him sore for days afterward, which meant he never moved, which meant he got weaker, which meant the pain got worse. It was a vicious cycle I see constantly in patients over 70. He began drinking tart cherry juice every evening, and within 6 weeks, his recovery time after walking had dropped by more than half. Here's the science. Tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency variety, contain extraordinarily high levels of anthocyanins and melatonin precursors. Research published in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports showed that athletes and older adults who consumed tart cherry juice for 7 days experienced a 22% reduction in exercise-induced muscle damage and significantly faster recovery of strength. But the reason it matters so specifically for seniors is the mitochondrial connection. Mitochondria are your cell's power generators, the tiny engines inside every muscle fiber that convert oxygen and nutrients into actual physical energy. After 65, mitochondrial function declines steadily, and the resulting inflammation is one of the primary drivers of what we call sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. The anthocyanins in tart cherries have been shown to protect mitochondrial membranes from oxidative damage, essentially preserving the quality of your cellular engines far longer than they would otherwise last. Drink 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice in the evening, as the melatonin precursors also support deep sleep, during which your muscles do the majority of their repair and rebuilding. Pair it with a small amount of healthy fat. A few walnuts work beautifully because the fat-soluble antioxidants in cherries are absorbed dramatically better in the presence of dietary fat. Number 2, and pay close attention here because this one surprises nearly every patient I share it with. Fermented foods, and specifically plain kefir or unsweetened Greek-style fermented yogurt. Most people think of gut health as a digestive issue, but here's what the research is now making crystal clear. Your gut microbiome directly regulates how much protein your legs actually absorb. A landmark study from the University of Reading found that older adults with a diverse, healthy gut microbiome absorbed and utilized 32% more dietary protein from the same meals compared to those with depleted gut bacteria. 32%. That means 2 people eating identical diets can have dramatically different outcomes in muscle strength, simply based on their gut health. After 60, the gut lining begins to thin, and the diversity of beneficial bacteria declines sharply, a condition researchers now call intestinal permeability, or, in plain terms, a leaky gut. When protein molecules pass through a damaged gut wall, your immune system attacks them, triggering systemic inflammation that actively breaks down muscle tissue faster than you can rebuild it. Kefir, in particular, delivers over 30 distinct strains of probiotic bacteria, far more than most commercial yogurts. It also contains specific postbiotic compounds, short-chain fatty acids that repair the gut lining itself, not just temporarily populate it with good bacteria. Take 4 to 6 ounces of plain kefir in the morning, at least 20 minutes before your largest protein meal of the day. This timing primes your gut to absorb that meal's protein maximally. The synergy here is remarkable. Combine kefir with a small amount of prebiotic fiber. Think a few slices of banana or a teaspoon of ground flaxseed, because prebiotics are literally the food that allows probiotic bacteria to survive and multiply in your gut environment. And now number 1. The most powerful, leg-strengthening food on this entire list, and one that almost no mainstream health source talks about in this context. Colostrum, specifically bovine colostrum. I want you to remember a patient of mine I'll call Dorothy. 81 years old, from a small coastal town in Maine. Dorothy had already had 1 hip fracture. Her legs had atrophied so severely that her physical therapist had told her family to begin planning for full-time care. Dorothy was terrified. She did not want to leave her home. Within 5 months of incorporating bovine colostrum into her daily routine alongside a gentle walking practice, Dorothy's follow-up muscle scan showed a 19% increase in lean muscle mass in her quadriceps. Her physical therapist called me astonished. Colostrum is the first milk produced by mammals immediately after birth, before regular milk. It is nature's original growth serum packed with insulin-like growth factor 1, known as IGF-1, along with growth hormone peptides, immunoglobulins, and specific proteins that activate satellite cells, the stem cells that live inside your muscle fibers and are responsible for repair and regeneration. Here is why this matters so profoundly after 70. Your body's natural production of IGF-1 and growth hormone drops by approximately 14% per decade after age 30. By the time you are 75, you may be operating on less than 40% of the anabolic signaling capacity you had in your 40s. Bovine colostrum, because of its biological similarity to human colostrum, delivers bioavailable growth factors that can partially restore this signaling pathway. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that adults who supplemented with bovine colostrum for 8 weeks showed significantly greater preservation of lean leg mass compared to a whey protein control group, even without increasing exercise. Take 20 to 40 grams of high-quality bovine colostrum powder each morning, mixed into warm water or kefir, never boiling liquid as heat destroys the active proteins. The synergy here is remarkable. Take it alongside your vitamin D supplement if you use one, as IGF-1 and vitamin D work synergistically on the same muscle-building receptor pathways, amplifying each other's effects substantially. Scientific references for all the studies mentioned today are linked in the description below. Before I close today, I want to say something that I say to every patient who sits across from me feeling scared about what's happening to their body as they age. Your legs carry your entire life. They carry you to your grandchildren's birthday parties. They carry you to the garden in the morning. They carry you down the aisle at a wedding, down the hall to your kitchen for a cup of tea, down the sidewalk on a quiet evening just to feel the air on your face. When your legs weaken, your world shrinks. And when your world shrinks, something inside you begins to dim. But here's what I need you to hear, and please really hear this. It is never too late. The body has a profound capacity to rebuild, to restore, and to surprise us. I have seen it in patients in their 80s. I have seen it in women who were told they would never walk independently again. The science is not theoretical. The tools are real, they are affordable, and they are available to you right now. You are not powerless over this process, not even close. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It genuinely means the world to me that you trust me with your health, and I do not take that lightly. If this video helped you, or if you think it could help someone you love, please share it right now. Don't wait. Text it, send it, post it. You might quite literally be changing someone's life today. Please subscribe if you haven't yet and leave me a comment with this. Do you personally struggle with leg weakness, or is there someone in your family, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a dear friend who is going through this right now? Write their name or just write my mom or my husband or my neighbor. I read every single comment, and knowing who we're fighting for together keeps me going every single day. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of those legs. They're going to take you somewhere beautiful.